Good morning. Happy Monday. Hope you're doing well and have had a good weekend. If indeed Saturday and Sunday is your weekend, there you go. Many people could be doing many things. What a great weekend at the Olympics. Are you watching the Olympics? It's been fabulous, isn't it? And it gives much food for thought. I thought what was particularly stunning was Charlotte Worthington's BMX performance. Um, after after not successfully landing that amazing flip, triple thing, whatever it was, or double loop thing, don't know what they were calling it. After failing to land that, she then went out and didn't fail the second time, and it was absolutely astounding. And I think that's a great example, isn't it, of controlling your emotions and controlling the situation, because that could easily have got the better of her. I'm a big fan of turning some of these phrases that we readily use um, on their heads, really. And one of the ones that gets said all the time, particularly by big blokes in gyms pumping weights, is failure is not an option. Well, failure is always an option because it's always one of the two things that can happen. You could always fail at something or succeed at it. Those are pretty much the two options, aren't they? And I suppose when something doesn't go well, um, how you respond is the secret, isn't it? Really, um, not do you learn from it, or does it then somehow create some sort of barrier and some sort of block? Um, One of the things in terms of productivity and well-being is we become resilient um, in our emotional pillar of resilience. So my model of resilience is this three pillar kind of system: emotional resilience being one pillar, physical resilience being another, and practical resilience being another. When we become resilient, we learn how to respond calmly and manage the emotional energy that is created when something goes wrong, and if anything is demonstrated ably by the sportsmen and women who we've watched over the last week or so. It's this ability when something goes wrong in a situation, um, to remain calm. The exact opposite was in the boxing. I think it was the heavyweight guys, um, and one of the guys, our British guy, was had a couple of cuts, and the cuts were off being headbutted by the opponent, and the opponent gets disqualified. Um, it's clear what he was doing. He got disqualified, and his reaction, he end up 20 minutes, a half hour, in a sit down protest in the ring because he wasn't happy with what happened. Well, sometimes I suppose that's the other thing, isn't it? Sometimes we cause things to happen ourselves by acting and behaving in a particular way. But if we've seen, you watch the gymnastics and the amount of preparation that's gone into that point to be stood there ready to vault or go onto the parallel bars or whatever, to go onto those things, the amount of preparation that's gone into that, then the preparation to for the people, the athlete, to set their intention and then focus completely on that task is absolutely amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. So we become more resilient in situations by learning how to respond calmly and manage our emotional energy, because our emotional energy can take over us to the point that it gives us the jitters. I'll give you a good example. Um, I play guitar and sing from time to time in pubs and clubs and stuff. And when I first started playing live, I couldn't control the emotional energy of being about to start the performance. And my fingers, that are normally quite agile across the fretboard on the guitar, just became sausages, uncontrollable, shaky, floppy sausages that wouldn't do what I wanted them to do because I didn't hadn't figured out yet, and experience is part of this, hadn't figured out yet how to control the emotional energy, how to remain calm and not let the emotions override me. So we become resilient by learning how to respond calmly and manage our emotional energy. One book that I read recently said, become agile with it. And I quite like that. I quite like that idea of being agile with my emotional energy. And that same book said that emotions are not a direct result of a situation. Emotions are not a direct result of a situation. Instead, they capture our evaluation or our response to the situation. We perceive a situation in front of us, we evaluate that situation, and we then become emotionally embroiled in that situation. Now, if the emotion we experience is calm focus, that produces one type of reaction. If the emotion we create is fear, anxiety, concern, that creates another set of emotions, doesn't it? So it's capturing our evaluation of the situation. And we're not going to get it right every time. I still get the jitters sometimes when I start playing guitar, but I know how to kind of calm myself down, I suppose. I have strategies. I have particular songs that I always start with because I either like them and they give me a good feeling, or they're very easy to play. So I do that kind of thing. I make it easy for myself to get into the playing mode, because I need to manage those emotions, and be ready for the task. So we become resilient by learning how to respond calmly and manage our emotional energy. And remember, emotions are a capturing of our evaluation of the situation. So if we can step back, if we can teach ourselves to step back from a situation and look at it rationally rather than emotionally, we're more likely to have a better emotional response to it. And backtracking all the way to my favorite subjects, the more we can't control everything, but the more order that you've created, the more routine you create in your day, the more likely you are to be able to predict, to a larger extent at least, what's going to happen. And the more you can predict what's going to happen through planning and through routine, the more you can control the emotional content of those situations, because you're expecting it. Even if what you know is you're going to go into an emotional situation, you can then somehow kind of figure out how to manage that situation. One of the big things, the emotion that I used to experience the most when going into meetings was one of frustration, because I find meetings very how can I put this delicately? I find meetings are often a very unproductive space, because largely people haven't prepared for meetings. Meetings are quite fluid, and I don't like that. I like decisions to be made. And normally, what I used to find in meetings was meetings just created more meetings because decisions weren't made. And then the result of the decisions not being made is, well, why not? Why don't the 3 or 4 people who need to make this decision go off and have another meeting to make that decision, because we couldn't make a decision in the meeting, or people who have nothing to do with the actual situation want to say their bit about the situation. So I used to find meetings very frustrating, and that was very unhelpful because I used to approach the meeting in the wrong way, and it was very unhelpful because then I didn't get anything out of the meetings, and that's a waste of everybody's time, including my own. So now I know that. So when a meeting's coming up, I now sit down, control my emotional energy by thinking, what do I want to get out of this meeting? And when there's something that other people are talking about, I'll just sit quietly and listen. And that might seem dead obvious, but rather than getting embroiled in that emotion of what on earth am I doing sat here listening to these 3 people talk about something that doesn't involve the rest of us, just listen. Just listen calmly and quietly, knowing that I've got a list of things that I want to get out of the meeting, things that I want to understand more, or decisions that I want to get made. So the way I was feeling about the meetings was capturing my evaluation of the meetings. Yeah, nobody was making me feel like that. I was capturing how I felt. my evaluation of the situation was this was going to be a waste of time. And lo and behold, meetings have become not a waste of time because I'm approaching them differently. So there's a bit of personal responsibility there, isn't there, as well as some sort of corporate collegiate responsibility that we all do. So we become resilient by figuring out how to manage this emotional energy to be at our most productive, and remember that try and unpick those emotions. Reflection is a great tool. Try and unpick those emotions so you can figure out why you are responding to particular situations in particular ways. So there you go. There's Monday. Good stuff. I now have to go off and write, continue to write my dissertation. I am having to tell myself all of the things that I always tell other people about procrastination, because what I'll do now is I will do everything I can to avoid making a start, and as we know, making a start is the hardest part. So I'm going to go off and do that, and my goal is to write 500 words today. Let's see if I can do that. Check in the morning. See you soon. Take care. Bye bye.